Alright, so we're here checking cameras today, and I always get questions a lot about what the things to do and things not to do and why we set cameras up where we do. And as you can see, we're pretty particular on where we put our cameras in regard to try to catch these bucks coming in and out on morning and evening basis. And with what we're trying to do with Building Brighter Dreams, it's pretty important to us to have that location pretty much pinned down to where these bucks are moving through at. And if you look out here, basically what we have is we have about 100 acres of crop right here, and it's split half and half with corn and beans. And so what we do, and what I love to do every year, is put these cameras right at the edge of a waterway where the corn and beans meet, because that corn with the waterway coming up it funnels those deer right through there. And if we get these cameras put right on the edge of that corn in the waterway and where the beans all come together at, basically you can get a lot of funnel movement of those deer, and you can find out pretty easily what's coming back and forth. And for what we're trying to do with Building Brighter Dreams, we need to know that stuff, because when we have a kid that's in a wheelchair, our goal is to get him in and out of here undetected as best as possible, which is tough to do in a lot of circumstances. So by utilizing these cameras in these places, this is an area we can come right up through this waterway, pull right up here, get into a blind that we can brush in right here in the cornfield, and basically get these kids and these families as close to this deer movement as possible. And with the funnel with this corn and waterway right here, it's pretty important for us to locate the deer that are moving back and forth through here, because if we had a good 4 or 5 year old deer early seasons coming through here, well, during that youth season it's going to be perfect for pattern wise on these bucks to get a kid in here and utilize, or try to get close enough to one of these deer so that we can see what they're doing, and also get a chance to maybe harvest one of those kids with one of those kids. So this camera right now, we're going to go ahead and place this card in it and get it set up to go right here. And basically what you got here is the different settings. I always like to go with 3 pictures about every 30 seconds so that we know exactly what's happening. There's so many times where we have a camera set up beside another camera, or we're even scouting one evening, and we'll see a buck, a nice 2-3 year old buck walk right by a camera, and it goes off, or it takes pictures of it afterwards, we find out. And at the same time, you got another 4 or 5 year old buck that's you've been watching and wanting to get pictures of, but he comes right after that, about 20, 30, 40 seconds right after that buck. And the bad thing is you're not getting pictures of that deer if you don't set it on multiple pictures that quick after another. So we put big cards in our cameras and make sure that the batteries are always full, so we can get the best potential, or the best success at getting all those deer moving through there as best as we can. So we like to set them up with as many pictures as possible, as quick as possible, so we know exactly what's coming through here and all that. So we got basically everything set up here. We're going to turn this camera on, make sure the card works okay, and basically we're ready to rock. And we got this camera basically pointed right out towards where the corn and the beans and the waterway all come together, and we utilize this white post right here so we can put it wherever we basically want to. And once the deer see this once or twice, they get pretty used to it, and we got 6, 7, 8 year old bucks walking a foot away from these cameras on these posts, so it doesn't affect them. Obviously these Primos cameras are perfect, and we want to thank Primos for helping us out with all the cameras that they've donated to us so that we can try and get these kids as close as possible. But this is basically a perfect setup of what we're trying to utilize for youth season when we have our families come in. So with any luck, we'll get a good picture of a big deer right here, and hopefully one of our more mature bucks, or even does for that matter, will be coming through right here, and we can get a kid set up here pretty close here in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So hopefully we'll be in good shape. I think we're set up. So I get asked a lot of questions all the time of how often do you check cameras, and when you put cameras in certain areas, how do you know which way to face them, and all that kind of stuff. And I guess one thing that I always tell everybody is, first off, when I put my cameras in a certain place, it might just be me overdoing it, but what I really like to do is I like to put them in places that are right facing towards the funnel area that deer have to come through. And I also like to get them in places where I can drive a four-wheeler right up to them and do all my work from on the four-wheeler, because of a couple reasons. A, we're farmers just like a lot of other people who hunt around the area, and these deer are constantly used to hearing the sound of a four-wheeler, a tractor, a truck, whatever. And so if you give them that normal noise that they're used to hearing, and you can come in and do all your camera work off the four-wheeler, what it does is it basically creates a normal sound to them, and it doesn't get them worked up or nervous or anything. And also it eliminates any of the scent that we're going to be leaving on the ground with our boots, our human scent, whatever it is. I mean, obviously we're going to leave some scent here on the camera, but for us, you know, that's what kind of we seem to do, and it seems to work for us. So we are always looking for those pinch zones or funnel areas that we can put a camera into, but also be able to drive right up like this camera, change the battery, grab the SD card, and I always carry 2 SD cards for each camera so that I can just pop the next one in, take this one out, and then I can sit at home late at night or whenever I have time to look at them, put the SD card into the computer and basically go through and evaluate all the pictures. But you know, with what happened this year, it's been kind of a weird year. We had a tornado come through here, so all of our bedding areas, all of our big oak trees that you see right here, they're all down on the ground. The tornado basically wiped them out. So we also have cameras in different areas this year, just because we don't know how the deer are going to react to all this new ground cover, trees blowing over, everything like that. So however, this is kind of what we call Old Faithful. We basically always put this camera in the same spot because it's just such a good funnel here with the cornfield there, bedding area right here, hayfield right on the other side. Basically this driveway or this lane that we come back to check all the cattle on all the time, it's that funnel that those deer are used to hearing the sound of the four-wheeler, and they're always coming through this. So basically, if we can get in here undetected, without any scent, leaving as less scent as possible on the ground, that's basically what we're doing here with this camera. And so I always tell people, put them in areas where the deer are going to funnel through, and put them on areas where you can get in and basically do all your work with them right off of the four-wheeler because they're used to it, and you leave less scent that way. So, you know, when I get a camera up, I always like to leave it for 3 or 4 weeks before I check it again. Some people like to go in and check it a week or 2 at a time. That's fine, but if you're going in there on foot, you're leaving a lot more scent there, and that will eventually affect a big deer, you know, mature 5, 6, 7-year-old bucks. So we always like to, you know, do as much as we possibly can with leaving as less scent as possible. And so, you know, just some tips for you there. Utilize the four-wheeler so you can drive right up to it, and also put them in pinch zones where they're used to hearing ATVs, but yet at the same time, the deer always use it. So this is a camera spot that we've always used throughout the past years, and it works great.